Welcome back to the channel, guys. On today's episode, we are taking this dually and we are putting in that transmission. As you guys know, I got this dually up in Washington State, drove it all the way down here, and I gotta say the most miserable part about it was not being able to go fast with this thing. I needed a transmission with a lockup. So here's what I got taken care of. I bought this transmission off of Marketplace. You can see it was involved in a fire at the motorhome. But what I had done is, you can tell everything's all fresh, is I had my buddy, John Dittmer, over at Cody's Transmission, completely go through this entire unit. You can tell that plug's all new. This entire transmission has all new internals in it. We got new spray, planetaries, clutches, all that good stuff. So internal electronics as well. So everything is good to go. Also got a brand new torque converter here. This is a 480 lockup deal. That's gonna be pretty awesome. It has overdrive and a lockup. So RPM should be a lot lower at a lot higher speeds. I'd really like to cruise this thing around 75, 80 at pretty okay RPMs. So that's the goal there. Before we're around 60 and it was a little rough. This girl's heavy. This bend back lift was really starting to shake a little bit. I got to stand over there for stability. After putting that over there, it helped out a lot. So I'm not so scared to go under there anymore. I was before. But I was coming under here and looking, and this little slip fit joint right here, it got to be a permanent fit, if you know what I mean. So somebody took the easy route instead of breaking these off, and they just welded that up. And if you look up there, hard to see, but those bolts for the collector, nah, those are rusted shut. I'm gonna take the easy route as well. Sawzall, ba-doop, sawzall, ba-doop. Cutting that baby off, weld it back on when I'm done. It's not like this is primo exhaust anyway, so I'll weld it back on. But I'm not interested in doing that whole break bolts loose thing. That's not my thing. So I'm gonna pull this Turbo 400 out of here, and we are replacing it with a 480. I did cut this right here and right there, so no big deal there. You can weld that back on. The exhaust really isn't actually that rusted through, so it's a pretty solid pipe. Coming back here, I'm gonna have to shorten this drive shaft because 480s are actually longer. So what a lot of people will actually do as well is just slide this cross member back, which is also what I'm probably gonna do. But that's going to create an issue with my exhaust here. So I'm gonna probably have to come up with some sort of custom exhaust to bring this right here and bring it back. So what I might just do, what might be easiest, is since this is already pre-bent, I could leave that piece here, and what I could do is probably just cut this piece out right here, slide this back to right here, and put this piece up front there. If everything was a perfect world, we'll find out. But first things first, we gotta get the transmission put to where it needs to be. So I'm gonna go and start pulling drive shafts. I already disconnected most of this stuff on the transmission on the side. This looks to be the reverse light that was plugged in here. I pulled out the speedometer cable. I'm gonna have to figure out what we're doing as far as speedometer, because there's no manual way of putting a speedometer in a 480, so we gotta figure that out. And then got the shifter linkage all out of there. You can hear that. All good there. So I need to pull drive shaft out. See the new carrier bearing in here. That is still holding in good from the trip. But when I take this drive shaft out, I'm gonna take both of them and take them into the drive shaft shop and just have them balanced. Really would like to balance these bad boys, make sure everything's going good on there. As you can see, I was trying to get this cross member out, but I was trying to do it at an angle. I was just gonna scoot it back, but it was running into the exhaust. So I was trying to get it at an angle to like pop it out, but it just won't come out. So I was using that saw, but I can only get so far up in here. I also put this angle bar in here because, as you can see, we're not awesomely on the frame right here. It's kind of a little sketch. So I put this bar just in case if I pull that cross member out, there was tension pushing in, that this didn't try and like that, but there's no tension. You can see that's loose still, but that's not even touching. Anyway, rambling. I need to get a Sawzall to cut that and cut it right there. I'm gonna have to redo a bunch of exhaust, but that's fine, I'm not worried about it. That's kind of my hold up. No drive line. Drive lines are out, we're all good there. Something that's pretty cool is the U-joint on the end of this that goes with the transmission is the same size as the one that's right there. So everything's already set up. It's pretty awesome. I got the torque converter bolts out as well. So torque converter just spins in there. I'm just trying to get this cross member out so that I can lower this down and then I can get to the bell housing bolts. So kind of in a holding pattern until I can find a Sawzall. 400, got her out. You can tell this is probably the original torque converter that was in this thing. But 480, here we are. I have some recommendations for everybody. I don't know if you've ever put a converter in a 400, but they're not that bad. You just kind of clunk, 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 get it all put in, you know. Everyone probably knows the 3-click method, but the only way to really ensure it is to put a straight edge on here and measure to the mating surface here. So normally, I believe what Jake's Performance and a couple other transmission builders say, it's about 1 inch from face of bell housing to this. So I was only getting about 1/2 inch here. So obviously that was messed up. I even went to the extent of putting it up there and just seeing if it would go together, and it wouldn't. I didn't force nothing or shove this into the pump or nothing, but I was getting frustrated. I'm not joking. I messed with this converter for a couple hours, and to people that have done transmission stuff, you probably think I'm dumb, but whatever. First 480, never done a 480 before. I've always done 400s, 350s, whatever. But something to note on these shafts, this is a lockup converter. So on the shafts, they have a little O-ring. And something that I learned, Jake's Performance, which is very helpful YouTube videos, thank you, is the O-ring on that shaft can be a bugger to get into the converter. So what I did is I pulled the converter off, lubed that O-ring up, and then I actually shoved the tail shaft up against the forklift right here. And I just put all my body weight pushing in on that and just twisting and twisting and twisting, and it finally just clunk and went in the rest of the way. So very happy about that. So now I'm just gonna go ahead and get this thing put back in the dually. Kind of sucks, the fuel line for the dually broke. I'll show you that. These lines you can see are all wet. I guess they're just old and frail when they broke. So unfortunately, I wonder if they're rubbing against that dipstick tube or something. But this flex plate is the one that you want for any small block or big block build, I guess. It has the proper alignment and all that good stuff, so pretty happy about that. But yeah, other than that, everything else is pretty good. I didn't film a whole lot putting this thing in. This is kind of hard on here by myself, so I did get the transmission in. I got a new transmission mount because the other one was messed up. Also, the other one only had a single bolt in the center. I wasn't a huge fan of that, so I drilled the 2 bolts out right here. Gives it just a tiny bit more stability, I would imagine. And as far as cross member goes, you can see it. I still got to drill holes in the frame, but this used to bolt in right here, so I literally just slid the cross member back. Nothing crazy, doesn't interfere with those lines. I am gonna have to figure something out for this exhaust. This exhaust is gonna have to kind of come up in here. So custom exhaust is probably in the works, but not too bad. I am pretty stoked with all the progress I made. This is all just in a weekend, but converter is all good. Had perfect amount of pull out on that one, so I didn't really have to do much shimming. As far as shifter cable goes, that does not just go in there, unfortunately. I'm gonna have to figure out something there, and I'll update you guys on what I did so you guys can do it on yours if you're doing it. But overall, all the bell housing bolts are in, and it's sitting up here under its own power. I just have the transmission jack just kind of on the front, just because I like having support there and some support back there. Just kind of makes it less sketchy to work on. But as far as speedometer cable, there's nowhere to go in a 480 for that, so I'm going to probably do some aftermarket gauges, and I hope that we can use the 480 transmission setup for that. So I'll have to do some research on that. I've been doing quite a bit of research on this whole this whole process. So I will need to shorten this drive shaft. The U-joint is actually the same on this one and the Turbo 400, so I don't have to get new U-joints or nothing, just shorten it 3 inches and we'll be good. I'm gonna probably drill these, put some bolts in those, and this will be pretty much locked in. Then I can kind of start on the wiring portion of it. All right, transmission in, cross member bolts are in. I know some of you guys probably gonna freak out. These are going up and these ones are going down. Well, you know what? Build your own freaking dually. Anyway, cross members in. I had to weld up the exhaust. Had to move back this piece right here so they could go on the cross member. Got her welded up. Added that piece in there. She's all welded up. Hey, I ain't saying it's awesome, but it is done. So some of the hardest things I had to deal with was trying to get this dipstick tube up through there. Got her all figured out, we're all good. I am putting these on here so that I can just run to those lines with rubber hose. This says push lock and it is 300 PSI rated hose, and a lot of people don't like rubber hose on transmission lines, but go build your own if you want to. Don't use rubber lines. I also got the drive shaft. It's a new Bluetooth style. It's pretty cool. Hopefully, they say it erases a lot of vibration. We got the lines ran. I'm gonna leave them sitting right here against the exhaust. That way, for winter driving, we can heat up the transmission line, or the transmission fluid temps. I'm also not gonna run any hose clamps because these are push lock hoses, so they should be able to hold 300 PSI. All right, good update here. Oh, look, there's a little thing in there. Thanks. Cool. So, I got my fuel hoses ran up there. Everything is all away from the exhaust. I got transmission lines all tied up. Those go up through the firewall. And that one's pretty close, not gonna lie. I'll zip tie that over. Anyway, all those are ran. I got all this wiring ran up to the 480, you know, because they're electric and stuff. So connectors all connected. I got it ran through the firewall. I'll show you that up there, but it's all tied up on the bell housing. Yeah, shifter linkage is all done. You can see I got some real strong tacks right there. Super big. Definitely won't go anywhere. But yeah, we're gonna find out how this old girl cooperates. We got the 480 in here, and it's moving under its own power for the first time with the new transmission. I'm super stoked. I'm gonna go drive it around the parking lot and see if it'll do anything.
Do burnout.
I'll try.
No. This guy.
There's a whole transmission back there just hitting the gate.
Transmission fluid is going to be everywhere in the back of that thing. It's going to be awesome to clean.
It really is all the way back there.
It's going to be great. Okay, bye.
All right, I guess we'll all go home now. That motherfucker's sitting in the seat.
Yeah, he is.
Well, since that controller's not hooked up, it was first gear the whole time. So, and I missed my turn, so that's why it took so long. So I'm just gonna hook that wire up to just the battery real quick, and then go for a drive and see.
Do it.
If I can. Oh, now my shift linkage goes against my heat shield, so it does it every time I shift. But dude, other than that, freaking driving and stuff. That's cool.
Is she working?
Yeah, it's flashing. So now I gotta go through these. Because I don't know what I'm doing. I don't understand this. An engine not running. Depress the throttle from rest position to full release. Throttle calibration must be performed every time the simple shift loses a constant 12 volt, which, such as battery supply. Okay. Figure 11 up for the location. The light should be very dim or off while the pedal is released. The green light should flash faster with increasing throttle. The light should be solid green when the pedal is fully depressed. Status light will be solid red when the vehicle is not moving. If there is a TPS trouble code set. Oh shit, we got the stuff doing the things. Okay, so that it did exactly what it was gonna say it was gonna do. Check for trouble codes. If the solid green, if it is solid green, then continue to the next step. If it is flashing red, refer to troubleshooting. Nope, we're solid green, baby. Well, that was short-lived. Blew a trans hose, which is crazy because the guy tightened them down pretty good. Pretty surprised about that coming off. So might have to reassess that situation, I guess. But I don't know. I really put some oomph behind that, but it wasn't enough. Did the hose actually come off, Andrew?
Yeah, came all the way up.
Show the audience.
As you can see, there we go. Right there. Fun. Here you go.
Thanks. Wow, that's crazy.
That's a lot of transmission fluid, buddy.
Oh, man, it sucks. Well, everybody, as you can see, the dually is driving. We got the transmission line fixed, which is nice, and now I am driving the dually, and I've driven it for about the last 3 days. I just have been slow videoing for whatever reason, but the 480 swap is done. I have some tuning to do on the transmission with my controller. I'm not going to bore you guys with that. I don't want to go into details on that because I would suggest finding someone a little smarter than me to help tune yours if you're doing this as an informational video. But there's not a whole lot to doing the 480 swap, honestly. As long as you do everything right, it should be fine. You know, I would definitely suggest getting a experienced builder to build your transmission. I couldn't ask for a better transmission from my buddy John over at Cody's Transmission. So big thanks to John. This thing's working good. Can't really see it back there, but I'm actually towing a trailer with a couple jet skis on it. So not that that's a heavy load for a dually, but you know, it's my car trailer with 2 jet skis on their own trailer. So it's an okay load. But the dually is just quiet, and I've ridden this thing on the highway doing about 80, and it's just smooth, super smooth. So I couldn't be happier with it. Well, guys, I'll catch you on the next episode. I appreciate everybody for watching. If you wouldn't mind, go like, comment, subscribe. See you in the next one.